All right, well, the Port Authority has decided to tear down the bus terminal, but first they're going to build a new one. They made their indication of intent to file or compose a environmental impact statement, which will be ready next year. And this is all based on, or allegedly based on, a engineering report that nobody has read that says, allegedly, that the concrete slab floors on 3 stories of the bus terminal that the buses run over every day for the past 70 years are at the end of their useful life, and they're reinforced concrete slabs, and they could fail, and of course it'd be impossible to replace them, or near impossible, I would think, to replace them in the building, because there's things on top of them. So it'd be pretty difficult, and so that's why they say they have to tear it down. But the thing is, the Port Authority has known for a long time that a situation would come up where they need to replace or expand the bus terminal. And back in 2012, when this picture we're looking at was taken, these buildings weren't there, and now it's been expanded even more across 40th Street from the bus terminal. That would have been the logical place to put any expansion of the bus terminal following the 1981 on the other side. And the reason for that is that a fourth tube of the Lincoln Tunnel was foreseen by the designers of the tunnel, certainly, and I'll explain that to you. And the block south of 40th Street, across from the bus terminal, would be the logical place to have a facility accessible by the fourth tube. But that's not the only piece of property that would be useful for or beneficial for a bus terminal expansion that they have passed over. And you wonder, is it pure incompetence, or what kind of thing they were doing? Well, it was the essential one anyway, because it provided a straight shot from the fourth tube that was no doubt foreseen in 1956 when the third one was finished. They probably expected a fourth tube project along in the mid 80s or late 70s with the expansion south of the terminal. There are others, and before I show you and explain about the fourth tube, I'll be showing you those. But the point of this is, in order to locate a bus terminal for the next 100 years, and perhaps a state of permanent stasis, more or less, so that if something goes wrong, then you can operate on a section of it without having to tear the whole thing down. If you're going to build an expansion of the bus terminal, you got to know where the fourth tube goes, and they haven't decided that. Now, I'm not telling you these are the only places that they could have used. Here's one. Uh, where is this? Well, that's 39th Street, so I guess that's 40th Street. North of 40th Street was this Mercedes dealer that's gone now. They could have used that, but apparently that's not in their plans. That's lot 1069. That's pretty big, or block 1069. Then you come up here. This one has been a rather derelict looking block for a long time, and they didn't get a hold of that to the point where they could have gone right across here to the church, although it's nice for the church to have this buffer of a residential office building, I suppose. But this stuff was highly derelict. If you take a look at Street View, you can see this big old industrial building. I don't know what it is. It's blue. They could certainly have used that. But in the meantime, you see, you've got construction crane here. And I'll bet this one's coming down, or this one. And probably eventually this old industrial building, and that one too. So that's going to be developed, but this was only quite recent. So the Port Authority should have grabbed that, but they didn't. One further one is this area north of the very portal of the North Tube here, where you see buses parked, and I think it may be they intend to do something with that. I don't know quite what, but either of those three could have remediated their terrible plan to put stuff right on top of the portal, and they were going to do that with the portals for one and, well, this is one and this is three. This one was built first. This big thing, they were going to put buildings all on top of that, but I think they've thought better of that now. But this North Tube approach is probably the most sumptuous such tunnel approach ever built. It's pretty amazing, with fancy brickwork and 2 or 3 different kinds of granite, and these tower lights here, torchieres. One of the most iconic things about the tunnel. There's 2 of those. Now, a trip through Street View doesn't do it justice, but, well, we'll try and take a look. Let's see, there's one of your torchieres lights. Oh, there's 3 of them, maybe. Let's see here, because I think there's another one. No, I'm wrong about that. There's one of them. They've been made this kind of monkey vomit color. They weren't that way before. They sort of have a lightning motif. Well, you can't see much of the brickwork here because there's too many cars. Takes a little while for the picture to load. Anyway, let's go down in here. You can see some of the brickwork. Pretty classy. See, that's one color granite, and then you get up to the portal itself, and you see a different kind of granite. And the trouble is, when they were doing that $1 billion operation on the tunnels back in the 90s, they started with this building conduits everywhere. It's really a disgrace, as the politicians say. See, they got fancy metal doors. They're still there, stainless steel. And here you see is where they've removed the fancy brickwork for some reason. You got wires held up there on the wall like, I don't even know if that stuff is legal. But of course, if the Port Authority does it, it's this is another kind of granite here, see, but it's gotten lighter. It's been sort of neglected. Then you notice here in the same granite there are sort of quoins you call them, things they do to the corners of buildings. And then in here, of course, oh, this looks somewhat fixed up. They have these bloopery lights where the skylights used to be. They were pretty impressive, the skylights. Oh, here's some wire coiled right. It looks like someone running their electricity off the hall bathroom or something in here. And, see, they have all these repairs, and this is, 10 years after this $1 million project to rebuild the Lincoln Tunnel. Well, I say they made it worse. That's when they took out the skylights. And I think they had, oh dear, well, I think they had granite all around those fancy skylights. Anyway, recovering from my tunnel mishap, I landed accidentally here and wanted to show you the another view of the tower, absent the piping and conduits and stuff, might be more flattering. See, there's the granite here. There's quite a lot of it, and I don't think this police booth is original, but you look closely, you can see the emblem. New York Police or Port Authority Police has been removed. I don't know, maybe it's not used anymore. But going down into here, I wanted to say a little bit more about this. Like, what is all this crap over here on the left that's falling down? God only knows. But going down to the portal again, I wanted to explain about, see, here you have this galvanized guardrail to take care of to protect the walkway. And then it runs into a Jersey, crap. It runs into a Jersey barrier, which doesn't look quite right. What is this here? Oh, they have a Jersey barrier with a repair and a problem with the surface there with stuff growing out of it. And then here is possibly something more on the lines of what was originally there. But this is, oh, maybe that's a door. Could it be a door? I don't know. But, and there's a Jersey barrier over here that covers up the fancy masonry. See, that's not brick under there. It's something else. I don't know. Maybe it's granite. And that shouldn't be there. It just shouldn't be there. Then here, I remember these were, I believe they were polished granite, and they were quite dark red. not like pink granite, really dark red. Um, but you can't have these signs and crap over that. You might get away with a clearance business. There's 3 flagpoles on top of it, you see. I don't know when they were put there. You have all these, whatever they are, utilities of some kind with the attachment device drilled into the granite. It's got to go. But I'd say that you could restore this portal, and it should be done. It should have been seen to in the $1 billion tunnel rebuild. But this stuff has got to go, and it's since about 2000 when they did that expensive tunnel job that went on and on. That this you see, it's caused by seepage. I mean, it has to be taken apart and put together. And some of the stones can be saved. I mean, they can find the quarries where they get them. They ought to know that. There ought to be a record of it. See that the stone extends down here in a fancy curved shape. It's, well, maybe you can see it better here. Here we have stalactites and, well, it was a fancy curved shape at one time. It was, a compound, not a compound curve. What do you call it? A curve in 3 dimensions. Curves in 3 dimensions. Anyway, that's that because I can't operate this thing. Now over here at tube number 1, which is down in the corner there, you can't see it. You see here the hanging garden thing, the vegetation is completely removed. I meant to say that it looked a little sparse there on tube number 2, the one that was opened in 1941. This one was opened in 1937, the first one, and the original approach was pretty crappy looking. You can look at some old pictures of it, but by 56 they had this broader plaza here. I used to take this one pretty often. You see, they've rebuilt this cantilevered wall here, but it still leaks. I'll show you that in a second if I can do it without screwing it up. And here you have the awards. There's one special Lincoln Tunnel Award. Oh no, that's the state seal, New York. Here is the special Lincoln Tunnel escutcheon or whatever. Boy, the conduits are thick here. I'll tell you, it's amazing. And then if you look up here, you can see there's the new cantilevered wall, but you see it's still leaking. There's white on it, efflorescence, and here we have serious leak. And these this granite, it used to be dark colored. I think it was polished granite. You can see the coins here more easily. They're, like relief. So, well, that's your $1 billion tunnel job, I guess. All right, now let's have a look at what was no doubt foreseen by the original planners and surely up until some time like past 1956, because the people who designed the third one surely knew where the fourth one was intended to go, and that would be here. See, it looks like a kind of stylized crocus flower or something. And it's not too remote to envision some kind of connection to the bus terminal south of 40th Street, an expanded bus terminal. But you see here we have now, and of course you would have the requisite tower lighting. Now, here, I don't think there ever was a right-of-way reserved. What do they call that? A tunnel, a utility easement. That's what they call it when they reserve a place for a tunnel. Around here, anyway, it's called a utility easement, and I don't believe the Port Authority arranged one as the Pennsylvania Railroad did on 32nd Street. Oh, well, no, 32nd is where the tunnel goes. They reserved an easement on 31st Street and on 33rd Street, and it says in the plan at 33rd Street Tunnel, because I think they were wanting to get some place to store Long Island Railroad trains that way. But there is no utility easement here that shows the fourth tube. So now we'll take a look over here and see the Jersey Plaza with my mock-up tunnel approach, or a fourth tube portal. It actually looks better that way, but it's not lined up so well. But if I put it back, I won't be able to change it. So you'll have to just look at it not lined up. This is where I first discovered that the fourth tube was foreseen. It wasn't the ones in New York because I didn't know the location of that one until I had drawn this part. But everything here is so formulaic, and everything is to a single degree. That it doesn't go by tenths of a degree. Everything is even. One degree and a degree that a number of degrees that ends in 0. Usually, I think a couple of them end in 5. And this formula here, you have it splays by 4 degrees going in, and this one splays by 4 degrees going out, or vice versa. I don't remember. Anyway, it may be they foresaw this removal of the garage and all this claptrap around here, and making of this big enclosure. They do have a garage over here, but this would work well because, let's see if I can find the no, that's not it. Here we go. Jersey garage elevation. See, this is quite a bit lower than this. This is about 40 feet here. So you'd be able to make a tunnel, cut and cover, as far as here anyway, over to here, and then it's only, well, a few feet lower. 13 and what did I say? 22, so 9 feet lower, with plenty of room for storing the rescue vehicles. Now, just one more thing while we're here, and we'll be looking at that building with the heliport on top of it in one instance. Now, here we are at this fantastic bridge, the wherever it is, NJ Transit built for the Hudson Bergen Light Rail line, but of course it was only out of extreme necessity, whereas the rest of it has got a grade crossing about every 50 feet. I'd like to see that upgraded sometime. I wanted to look at the underside of the helix, uh, because of course you would have to uh, widen the tunnel approach to 8 lanes if you're going to have a fourth tube. And here you see on this side of the helix the arrangement, which is relatively recent, to provide a 7th lane for traffic in the morning. And I don't know, it doesn't look all that stable to me. I mean, the impression you get from this part of the helix versus the curved part with the great big trusses is that, you know, it'd be nice if there was some lateral, there it is. Oh, you can't see it though. Sorry about that. It would be nice if there were some lateral and diagonal support, but there it is anyway, and that, I suppose, is the way the original was built. It looks original. Um, Widening it to 8 lanes, especially in the cuts, that's a big project, but I don't know. Some of those bridges may be near the end of their useful lives, so to widen it and then more completely cover it, you'd get rid of some of the noise there, and you could have a park-like landscaping setup where it would be quieter and also could be made quite a pleasant public space. Whereas now, you know, nobody wants to walk across there. Of course, it would be good if that one bridge, there's a sort of a group of bridges, uh, impressive at various heights, and the one has something running through it, maybe a storm drain, but I think it's more than that. That one, because of its shape, is actually quite elegant. So it'd be nice if that grouping could be preserved. Anyway, there is the building with the heliport on top, and I want to just look at that for a second. See that also the garage for maintaining tunnel vehicles is there. And here you see by 1956 they had gone to quite consciously a different type of stonework. Uh, these are smaller than those than the fantastic stonework over there. Um, yeah, because they were now in the international style and everything must be glass and steel, and we don't go in for the excess of great big stones. And of course you can't see it here, you can't see anything here, but it's also terraced and um, oh, I don't know what you would call it. Uh, See, it has decorative things in it, various kinds. Oh no, now we've gone to the wrong place. All right then, so as long as we're here, we may as well take a closer look at these great big block walls. Boy, there's something. You see, they have this decorative lining. I don't know, what are we looking at here? Oh, this is the wall you would have to remove to expand it to for the fourth tube. Um, and you see up here would be the curved part where the garage is, and I guess the garage could be in similar materials. Hopefully, even the same materials. I mean, the last time they moved it over to locate the third tube, uh, it doesn't seem they used the same materials. They built the new wall behind the existing one, you know, which was over here. Uh, but I don't know. Maybe it could be dug out and then moved over because these stones are quite an asset. Okay, now here we are just for one quick peek back at the 1956 International Style edition with the smaller, more conservative and appropriate stones. But I wanted you to see here, well, the Google Earth doesn't want you to see um, the the same stonework continues on these fences that run parallel with all decorations you see. Parallel to this, I don't know, is it Hudson Boulevard or something like that? But you see where they put in this new administration thing here. Um, they took further liberties as far as wanting different stones, I guess, and so you see that doesn't quite match, and well, it's hard to see in this location. Here we go. Now, I wonder what that thing is. That's pretty odd. Anyway, when they built this new administration building, it seems the architects or someone felt compelled to kind of almost really denigrate this great public works project of the sandstone. I believe there's sandstone. There's a certain word for that kind of color combination that you see on the west portals of the tunnel. Anyway, this doesn't much look like it, and it's difficult to know why. All right, so here we go back to New York. Um, Now the advantage with this alignment, which may look a little peculiar, um, is that, well, it's quite a bit shorter than the others. So you miss a lot of tunneling, although, as it turns out, tunneling is not the most expensive thing anymore. Um, but all of those things are certainly done easier than ever before, with less cost in labor and uh, fatalities. It's all much easier. So much of it is computerized. So much of construction is computerized now. So if you were thinking there was any real reason for the extreme high cost of construction in the United States, well, a number of us have been unable to find any. Now, I've extrapolated the elevations from the third tube to this fourth tube, and you see there's the low point. It rises at something like less than 1%, I think, I forget. And then this is the vertical curve, and it increases to 3.5% here. There's the fan plant. And when you get here, the elevation is 64 feet below sea level, which would put well, it would put it 60 feet or 68 feet below 34th Street, and very similar to the difference in elevation with the Weehawken Indians football field and these portals here. But see, that tube is 1,200 feet north, and it extends quite a bit this way. This portal is negative 4.5 feet. So, in any case, if you increased this grade to 4.5, you could get an extra 10 feet out of it, and I think that would be feasible, and you'd still be grounded in rock at this portal here and quite a ways out there. All right, now to explain this deep plaza here, we're thinking maybe 58 feet uh, below sea level, so 62 feet below 34th Street. Here is the tunnel that leads to the west. You have 3 lanes, and it's actually 2 tunnels in the same right-of-way. One to 34th Street. You see there's plenty of looping around to get up to grade. I measured it. I think it's something like 4%. And then 2 lanes starting out here. That was a conundrum for me because it kind of wants to go to 3 lanes by the time it gets here. It comes into the open here and must rise to this signalized intersection. Then you can tear off down West Side Highway. Um, and I did arrange it so it could be used for bi-directional travel with these proposed strings of cars here. um, and that could be arranged with safety cones, or maybe we could come up with something more modern now that would be automated. Who knows? Um, to funnel it into this, if it's two-way, or have it take up the whole thing if it's one-way going outbound, and you're back into the tunnel and into the plaza and on in. These hanging garden attempts signified by the green line. This one was supposed to be quite low, like if not even with the level of the sidewalk. Oh, maybe better than waist high, something that is sort of intimate in that way. And then this one would be quite a bit higher, way over your head, maybe two body lengths or three, um, more or less like the two center tubes, or um, Nash and center tubes, and the north tube. This one was a bit problematic because, and it's all outlined in red, because I would think it would want to be somewhere near the level of 34th Street, maybe again somewhat higher than waist high, but it's a security concern, and I don't know what you would do to mitigate that. I mean, there's various levels you could put it, but any way you look at it, I don't know. Maybe the this little entrance to the High Line here that I've tried to depict, it needs to be extended. But I thought, maybe you could just keep the trees that are in there and extend the ground over there. And of course, you've got this. Well, there's the garage, and I couldn't resist putting one more tower, and here it is, extending like a candle, lighting the way into the tunnel of the West Side Highway. Now I'm about to show you the extent of the northern reaching tunnels from the plaza, which is uh, substantial. um, Actually, that makes up for the gains of the 1.2 mile Trans Hudson with Earth Point Earth Point balance tunneling, all the modern accoutrements. Um, but an important thing here at the plaza is flood protection, and you're going to have a lot of it. This is an extreme location right next to the river, right on the waterfront, and extremely deep. So you'll have to have all kinds of sumps and things. Uh, 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 Very extraordinary precautions. I think it would be possible to turn this rebuild of the High Line that runs up to this bridge here, an old bridge at 33rd. That would have to be a flood wall. In as much as it's high enough, it gets quite low over here. Um, have to be a flood door here. There have to be flood doors at every portal. It's quite a complicated process in its own right. So here we go to the northern leading tunnels. You see they exit the plaza by passing under the ones that run west, and they have to be well, the main one that is really, two tunnels in one right of way. And you see we have a junction here. More about that later. Thank God it's only buses. So you see you have an entrance exit to 11th Avenue. This is a lame drawing here. Which, could be blocked for one-way usage. Probably would be a lot of the time. Then the other part of the main tunnel is complicated because you see we have this. That's the Empire Line to Penn Station. And first, coming from the plaza, it passes under the Empire Line. It's a cut and cover operation. The right-of-way for the Empire Line, once it gets into its old right-of-way from the High Line, is 100 feet wide, so that's fortuitous. It starts out under the Empire Line, then must go over it and come even in elevation with it about here, where it crosses the 3rd Lincoln Tunnel too. Then coming to 38th Street, we got to have a bridge over that. So you wouldn't say it rises terribly abruptly, but it's got to be above grade enough to allow clearance equal to the 13 feet of the tunnel, the Lincoln Tunnel. And then you have a bridge into this staging area. I see it as a purely staging area. With no bus passenger interface in there. They plan to extend it down over this tunnel portal and build a big commercial or residential building on top of it, and I say that's not happening. Now, before we go into the location of the bus terminal and the remaining tunnel approaches, it's necessary to discuss this drawing a little bit because this is not a thing of accuracy. It's a conceptual drawing. The bus terminal and, for instance, these two tubes, that's all by guess and by golly, and I just left it there when I did the portal drawings and the tunnel drawings between the date of my comment, that would be June 24th, and the date the written comment was due, July 19th. And you see, to draw circles, to locate them, with the tangents and then draw circles between the tangents is extremely time consuming in Google Earth. You have to generally draw 4 circles to get one. For instance, you'll see these are just by guess and by golly because they're from the first round in 1917 from my comment on the 10-year budget. And the bus terminal is the same. You can see some of my old ramps here. Um, I don't know quite what that means anymore. And you see the old bus terminal and its 1980 expansion here. See, it's not too terribly large, so this compares favorably where you could get enough, uh, passenger interface to avoid ever having to have another catastrophic shutdown in order to tear the whole building down. It could be done in small bite-sized, segments. So that's something to keep in mind. That's what we want. We want a stasis of bus terminal infrastructure here. Now, as for the tunnel junction, it must be said this is what you don't want. Um, but nonetheless, it's buses only, and I don't see any way of avoiding it. Providing grade separation, you're still going to have conflicts if there was grade separation, and it would be enormously bulky and complicated project. So it would have to be something along these lines. Now, as an aside, the Mercy Tunnel was a great subaqueous estuarial project along about the same time as the first tube of the Lincoln Tunnel, and we don't really have the Manhattan approach from that tunnel anymore. The first one we have is the 1941 one. But the Mercy Tunnel was not shy about pretensions of this being the most sumptuous and outrageous infrastructure project ever, and the one portal with the great monument in the middle, I can't show that. Uh, it shows that, total sumptuousness. But the time you got around to 1941, when the North Tube was opened, that's the first one we have. Those were the war years, and the whole aesthetic had changed, and it invokes a certain moderation in as against the total sumptuousness thing, and they wanted to have it a little more stark, a lot more stark, like ladies with lateral shoulder pads that stick out and stuff. Things they wanted it to look stern. So that's the advantage we had with our first Lincoln Tunnel portal, really, that survives, and uh, also well, it was just nicely done, that's all. Now, further about this 2017 drawing of the bus terminal, which was, done in a hurry, just as the tunnel approach in New Jersey, that was just another by guess and by golly move, and it was worse than these because I never showed the underground approach to the plaza in Weehawken in that comment. So the tunnels are misaligned to a degree in the Hudson, and even the fourth one, which only extends down to about here, I could never. Well, the only one I have a record of is the third one, and it would take me days to draw that. So these alignments are the ones that came from the 2017 drawing, and this was just so the when I drew these in this year, um, it's based on this alignment, which is wrong. So if that looks screwy, that's why. And you see, I tried to do a transitional curve here, but it came out so that it isn't a long enough curve, but it still matches up with the point of curve of the short radius one. I don't know what to do about that. You have to have an additional transitional curve to make it not look screwy like that. And then these tunnels were a total hack job because it was all done on the last day. So, there are things like it's too close to the Empire line. You got 100 feet down there. Well, it's not too close to physically do. I mean, it would be physically possible. That's 12 and a half feet. But it would be better a little further separated because, as I say, it's touch and go where this is over the Empire line and then comes even with it here and must pass it and go to a bridge over 38th Street here and into the staging area. Now as to the property issues here, and they are manifold. The thing is, Community Board 4, they want to be adamant, and the Port Authority wants to acquiesce. But to get a bus terminal that fulfills the need of having bus terminal stasis, you've got to negotiate with people at least. And if you look at something like what the Pennsylvania Railroad did, they took the whole swath. It's a huge space that was used to build the two tubes of the so-called North River Tunnel, the tunnel under the Hudson from Penn Station. This is somewhat less because now most of these residential 19th century, it was this vast area of four-story brownstone walk-ups. Some of those things didn't even have flush toilets when they were bought or when they were built, and they had flush toilets when they were bought. There's one notable company over here that has done a fantastic job of preserving their properties. They're Clinton Housing Development Corp. They've put their lives into that. They've put their money into it, and they would have to be made whole. You have to find a way to make them whole. Because really, that's where the bus terminal goes. And this business of turning this into park area when you need it for the bus terminal, that's insane. And this too, see, this is intended to be covered over, and you build, it'll be high enough so that you can put big rooted trees in there. I don't know about this. They don't intend to touch this. That's too far south for them. But once you get these public spaces with trees and stuff, you can't get rid of them. And I question the Port Authority's judgment in that. That's not something they want to do. They've neglected acquiring property, and now they're stuck if they want to build a bus terminal that's worth building. Now, the big one here is this fancy newish development, residential here, and it's pretty luxurious. But the plan to build things on top of any bus terminal that gets built and have a desirable street entrance for tenants is it fits in well with this, That's what you'd have to do. You'd have to negotiate with them. You'd have to have the tenants housed equal or better for the time of the construction, which should be speedy. You can't do it the way they stretch these things out, and then it gets more expensive, and they have change orders and force accounts. You can't do that. Here's a couple of the old 4 or 5 story walk-ups, and you have this row over here, and it's the same thing here. Maybe that's Clinton Development. I didn't get the impression they were so nicely done as Clinton Development Corporation. Here's another one they gladly part with, because it's so old, and uh, you can build something better on top. You can make it tons better with more apartments, and that's what needs to be done. Now, finally, about this junction, um, save the worst for last. But you see, it's something that's functional. There's the, well, I'll explain that. There's the fan plant for the number 7 line, which looks a little close, but that's physically possible. But the reason it looks so close is because I drew this curve wrong. All the lanes of the tunnel follow this curve, this part only for a short distance, but it needs to be a longer curve, and then the center of the curve would be back here, and this stuff would be headed different as it goes by the corner. But really, it's physically possible as it is. It's just drawn wrong. So this there's 2 lanes inbound if you want. You can have all the traffic coming inbound you want to both the new part of the bus terminal with its underground connection, and buses to the staging area, or the old bus terminal. Going out, well, I mean, at worst, you could have a timed connection here. But why would you want that? If buses from the old bus terminal, they can either use the direct connection to the North Tube, or go down to the street as they do now to get to this plaza back here and tube number 1. So it's not really a conflict as a practical matter. Like I say, you could have timing in surges, or just skip buses going from the old bus terminal going out this way, which gives you 2 lanes of sole availability for the new bus terminal. Plus these ramps here, which I understood in 2017. So that's the project as I see it. It's quite different from the way the Port Authority sees it, and I don't feel that that they're taking it seriously as a project that has to last 100 years, and actually for bus terminal stasis with practical permanence. They're not seeing it that way, and it's going to lead to trouble because they've been engaged in these kinds of shenanigans for a while now, and we can't have it. We can't have the changes in projects and force accounts. We can't have that anymore. It's beyond that point. So with this money from the infrastructure bill, by golly, it better not go to waste. And, there's a practical certainty that it will. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed it. I tried to make it coherent at least. We'll see how it comes out. Thanks a lot for watching.